was a
Pretty.
good one. They've known each other for so long. They're just, best friends. And I really
Yeah,
think this is going to be interesting because they know how the other thinks. I
yeah,
mean, they go
no
over each other's
question.
annotated games. They talk about the positionings. Yeah, this is definitely going to be a really interesting game to watch.
And it is a clash of styles too, I should add, right?
Oh,
So
definitely.
Josh is very much an aggressive player. He's unafraid. Matthew is a much more defensive player, doesn't like giving his opponent easy openings. So a clash of styles for sure.
Definitely. I'm excited to see what's going to happen here. And Josh, with his first rack, pretty obvious, just get the U's out, do something with PU, maybe.
Yeah, the good old poo poo platter. That seems like it's reasonable
Poo
here.
poo was forced. There you go.
Yeah, that's a word. I actually unsuccessfully challenged that word, thinking it was somehow a proper noun. I don't know what was got into my head. That was like a decade ago though. So now I know that pu is a valid word, and it looks like Josh is about to slap that down here. So yep, I like
Nice.
it.
Yep. Nice
Those
and simple.
U's
There you go.
Yep, those U's are definitely a hindrance when it comes to getting the bingos down. The U is not, strictly speaking, a terrible bingo tile, but it's certainly the worst of the vowels by a solid margin. So, want to see
And
what Josh draws here?
this gives Matt a pretty nice play with his J. He can just put down jaunt for an easy 30, keep a nice decent leave, and just, move on.
Yeah, that looks like it'll be good for him for sure. So I'm going to try to just get the tracking thing up again if I can.
And
Uh,
Josh picks up the first bingo of the game.
there we go. So you can see keeping that keeping. Oh, does he really? What does he got? Oh, there it is.
Does he now?
Nice.
Yeah.
I see it. You're right. You're absolutely right. So that's going to go down with Jaunts for a pretty solid score here for sure. Um, so Matthew, on the other hand, with those three eyes, of course, it's you would rather not have any more than
Oof.
one eye starts to be an issue. So there you go. Deerages. I feel like when I saw this word first, I thought it would for sure have to do with like a blimp, like a dirigible,
What the-
but
oh my god.
I don't think it is. I think it's something else.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
okay. A
physics bot
dirge.
says yeah. That's a dirge.
Yeah. Hey, 14 Domino. Nice to see you. He queries it. And yeah, a dirge. So nicely spotted, though, by Josh, who, yeah, again, he really is showing himself. He's missing very, very few of these bingo plays, regardless of how obscure they are. We saw Worried last game. That was pretty awesome.
That was
Uh,
intense.
so, all right,
What
Matthew
would
with the
Matt do
three
here?
three eyes. I think he's
As a
almost
Scrabble
forced.
player,
Oh, go ahead,
oh,
Nick.
sorry. Yeah, as a Scrabble player, very quickly you learn that you have to learn your vowel dumps and your consonant dumps. Just words that can get you out of these little sticky situations that you're in when you have too many I's or too many other vowels. Which is why we saw EUOI go down, which basically every columns player has used at least once in their lives. And I think Matt would probably just go for something like BD, perhaps making DI of the dirges. Wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
That looks pretty good. Another good choice being suggested in the chat is Ghibli off of the
Oh,
G
there you
of
go.
Diriges. That looks pretty nice. You don't open a triple, and that is Matthew's play. That feels sort of
Nice.
thematically consistent with Matthew's style. Rather than opening an easy triple for Josh to hit, he's just going to play to the already open triple, but looks like Josh has another bingo of his
Another
own. I
bingo.
do expect him to see. I do expect him to see. Um, so 14 Domino says I showed him. I assume that's Josh. Some low prob words that gave me trouble, and he solved them all instantly. Yeah, not too
Oh my
surprising.
god.
He knows them pretty much. He knows them all at this point. That's how
Yeah.
you get to
You know
be,
how
in that
Yeah,
position.
sorry.
Nope,
Yeah.
all good.
You know how players will usually study words in terms of probability? They will go, oh, I'll learn the first 5,000 and then the next 10,000 or whatever. This man studies all. He just he will not study by probability. He just studies all. So
So
if you give him low probability words, he'll just be like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's a word." There is no differentiation in his head there.
that's I mean that type of, it's relatable. I've gone on that path to probably a lesser extent myself, and you're not learning the words that are really, really improbable because you have a realistic expectation of seeing any single one of them in the game. You're doing it because, as a group of thousands of low probability words, every now and then, one or two of those will make its way into your games, and you just want to be ready for whatever word that is, right? Isn't it kind of sad that
Right.
you could study all of these beautiful low probability Scrabble words and never play them as long as you learn them? It's kind of disheartening when you think about it, but at the same time, I think it's really not about learning each one with the expectation of playing it.
Definitely, definitely. It's just, knowing the words is knowing the words.
So,
I'm surprised that he's deliberating here. Maybe he's just trying to see if he has anything through the floaters,
true.
or
I
maybe he's
mean,
not sure.
that's true. He's probably looking through the B and L and I of Ghibli, or maybe even the D of Dirige's. I think, of course, it's not impossible to see anyone miss a word that they know just because it's not an automatic process, right? Like, even if Josh
True.
were 99% likely to see cantate here, that means 1% of the time he's going to miss it, right? So in
True.
Scrabble, you're playing a lot of moves, you're playing a lot of words, many more than 100 turns being played in a tournament. So if you get to that 99% accuracy of seeing all the bingos, it means you're probably going to miss every other tournament. You're probably going to miss a bingo, even as somebody with more or less perfect word knowledge. That being said, I do expect him to find this word here. So
Yeah,
let's see.
I agree. I believe he's probably just thinking, oh, is this a word or that? Yeah, he's just deliberating. Perhaps he's just trying to figure
I
out
think
if,
he's
he's
he, I think he's just wanting to make 1,000% sure he's not missing something through the L or B or one of these other letters
the eye. Yeah,
before he floats a letter in the triple lane in his mind unnecessarily. He needs to
true.
determine whether it actually is necessary that he put that there.
Yeah.
Um, So we'll see. We'll see
Oh,
what he
there we
elects
go.
to
Oh,
do. Oh,
oh,
wow.
that's what
Okay.
he was trying to figure out
That
if.
that's what he's thinking. Okay.
Okay.
So this is going to get challenged. Let's see the O'Connor challenge time. Oh,
Oh,
yes,
wow.
challenges it. Okay, so it took Matthew, out of respect to Josh, took about 5 seconds to challenge that word instead of previously yesterday, where it took him 2 and 1 second respectfully. So the challenge rate for Matthew going down precipitously here. But this is definitely that's what so now we know that's what Josh was thinking. He was evaluating the validity of that word, and he almost certainly saw his bingo off of the P of poo poo and opted for this one, thinking it's good and that it doesn't give anywhere as near as much counterplay to Matthew. So
Definitely.
this is so
Definitely.
Matthew now has this is the type of situation where Matthew excels. He is very
Yeah.
likely to potentially already have seen Josh's bingo, and he is likely to block it with a play of his own. Suggestion from our scorekeeper Noah Slakoff of Vadi through the D of Diriges. That would get the job
That
done quite
blocks it
nicely.
beautifully. Nice.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
So what
And
I'd like to
it's
see. Oh, go ahead, Nitz.
I'm just saying it's hard to challenge someone who has their words down so methodically. So for, Matt to just be like, okay, yeah, it's under 5 seconds. I know I'm gonna challenge this. I want to take a look at this. It can be hard to do.
The nice thing for Matthew is that Vadi is already a strong play here. So playing through that D, getting rid of your V and Y in one go, that's already a good play. So Matthew's probably looking at that play and saying, do I need to block the I? Do I need to block anywhere else? Or can I just go ahead and play my normal play that I would have wanted to play here? And the answer is, not only is the answer yes, you can play that, you should play that because it blocks Josh's bingo spot. So that's
Definitely.
what we expect to see here, I think. But Nitz, what is
He's
your
probably
thought
just,
about can Josh shrug off emotionally? Right, like let's not forget that
ooh,
it's a no, a nice play, Matthew.
yeah, body just makes sense here.
But where do you
Is
think
he going to be
Josh
able
is
to shrug
at
this off?
emotionally? Yeah, here after that, and we all make mistakes like that. So he needs to. I mean,
Hmm.
what do you think he's going through his head here?
It's hard not to be, personally, I would say it's hard not to be tilted once you have a phony come off the board, especially a word that you think sounds very, right in your head. Because at that point, you're thinking, okay, I found this other bingo that could have gone on the board. It's blocked. Now I have to think of these other moves. What could I possibly do? And it can be very time consuming. So I believe that could be what he's going through. And that would be what I think any average player would do because, now you're in the situation like, oh, my opponent knows what my rack is. They would know what I'm keeping. And and then cat going down is pretty, makes a lot of sense. Keep a strong leave.
Yeah, Cat there. He hasn't committed his play yet. For the record, you see his timer is still running. He might pick it up. Okay, there we go. He has
Oh,
now committed that play of Cat. Seems reasonable. He keeps a pretty strong leave of AENT. I guess the only issue with it
yeah.
is Cat certainly reads like an S setup for scat going across. But of course, Matthew knows he did not have an S there. He just saw all 7 of Josh's tiles,
Oh,
and Matthew has 2 S's of his own. So he doesn't. Matthew does not need to feel that same urgency to block that hook that maybe you would normally feel. But you can see Josh drawing that first
the
blank that can help him
blank.
quite a bit.
Nice. Now, Matt here has, I would say, a slightly tougher decision if he wants to, play QI. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Play the
There you
QI.
go.
I wonder if maybe playing the S here was, I don't know, a good idea. I don't know if it's not terrible to keep your S's, to double your S as it is to double other letters. So it makes sense that he would play QI instead of QIS.
I also think Matthew places it's in addition to what you're saying, Nitz. I think that Matthew places a very high value on not giving his opponent any information unnecessarily. So
True.
if Matthew were to play that S with cheese instead of chi for only a couple extra points, you are telling Josh a lot of info about the strength of your remaining tiles. Specifically, it's almost certain it is basically at this level a play like that would be a certainty that your opponent has another S in this situation, and it would change the way
Definitely.
Josh. It would change the way Josh plays. So Matthew doesn't want to do that if he can avoid it, and I think that rationale makes a fair bit of sense.
Definitely. And it's definitely worth that 3 points of, that withholding that information by keeping that S as opposed to getting those 3 extra points by playing that. So Josh has a
Yep.
decision here of what bingo to play. I think he's just going to go and look for the highest scoring one because there's floaters on the board that he could play through. I'm seeing Entozoal or just Entozoa making ATE.
True. Um, the issues with entozoal is just that it places an E right in that scary spot. The scariest place you can
Yeah,
put an E in the game of Scrabble is right next to or adjacent to a triple word score, such that any 8 letter word with an E in the 7th position could be played. That's a scary place to place an E. And if you can envision where entozoal would go to the L of Ghibli, it would place an E in that spot. So I actually expect, oh, there he is. He's arranged it. I think
he
I would
might just
probably
play. There we
prefer,
go. Yeah.
Okay, that's way
It's
safer.
one
Yeah,
less point, but it's much, much, much safer.
yeah. So this
As
makes
you were
a lot
saying,
of
yeah.
sense. I like it. I like this positioning here. He does not open up a triple. Well, I guess the triple off of the N of Entozoa for a four-letter word. That's not very scary compared to a wide open triple that lets you play bingos. So we like it. We like it. So good, but good point by the Adam in the chat there that Matthew's going to respond with a bingo of his own.
With sections. Nice. Good spot.
Anybody want to start speculating on three-letter extensions to sections?
Oh my gosh.
Right? To the triple, that's that could happen.
Would we see that
So,
come down?
uh
Maybe we would.
I not if I was playing. I don't know stuff like that. But for these players, maybe. Maybe.
Let me see if I can do this in the bot.
Trisection it out by Slug Biker, potentially. That could be nice. I assume that that's a valid word. I'm just wondering, what else there might be there. I'm actually a little surprised that Matthew, who is again, it's kind of interesting, right? At this level, how many players are lightning fast players? I feel like
Definitely.
there's a pretty strong correlation, although playing lightning fast is not in and of itself necessarily a good thing. It could be a sign that you're not thinking deeply enough or generating enough plays. But I think the combination of playing lightning fast and playing quite accurately as somebody like Adam Logan, Matthew O'Connor, players like this. Okay, there we go. He's played it.
Yeah.
I think he was probably just looking for an extra few seconds to see, do I have a 7-letter word in this rack that I can pluralize ATE, which yes, 8 does take an S on. It doesn't just mean I ate some food. He's ultimately made the right call. This is the only bingo available to him here. So, yeah,
Good play. And yeah.
playing fast is just so, I don't know. I've never really identified as a fast player, even though, I guess we lost Josh's score for a moment there. Yeah, the player one score has been a little finicky. We'll get it back. So at least
So
I think we
what
will.
does
There we
Josh
go.
do here? Maybe something just like WA, just WHA, making OWAH from the O and A in Entozoa, perhaps? Wouldn't be
That looks,
surprised if he kept
that
that
looks
leave, RINE.
That looks good. Definitely those W and H, those 4-point tiles. He's going to want to use those to score well, and the rest of his tiles are low point tiles that are better suited to playing bingos. It's worth noting, though, that this board is going to be extremely difficult to bingo on now, if not
True.
impossible, without an S, right? The S is so important here. You can play the S with scat and you can play the S with eights, ATES. So without
Yeah,
an S,
Joel points out Wahine next to the Entozoa's OZOA.
very nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be,
really,
wow.
really
Keeping the
like that.
R.
And that's
Nice.
great. That's a great suggestion by Joel, specifically because it sort of builds on what I'm saying. Normally, the EINR combination, if you just play WA in that spot, is quite strong. But there's really not much point in keeping a good set of bingo tiles together on this board until you get an S. Once you get that S, now you can start building towards a bingo, knowing that it's actually going to play on the board. So
Definitely. Definitely.
that V of Vadi, you see that V. Matthew probably loved putting that V there just because it's so restrictive. Well, I mean, I
And
say
Matt
that,
is,
but
he's really
once
good at
somebody,
just, you know,
oh,
sorry,
I'm
what were you
sorry,
saying? When somebody what?
when somebody plays through the V, it's going to reopen the board quite a bit, but until then, it's pretty closed. But sorry, you go ahead and what Matthew's
I was
thinking
going to
there.
say that Matt is just really good at knowing when and how to exhaust the board. You know, he really thinks a few moves ahead in terms of what he was talking about yesterday with that recursion about where is my opponent going to play in 3 or 4 turns.
Yeah,
And
that
he's
was
just blocked that
amazing.
spot off completely.
at listening to Matthew talking about his thought process yesterday was pretty awesome. He has an incredibly advanced understanding of Scrabble. I've long felt that if I could just implant my word knowledge into Matthew's brain, he would just be a nightmare to play against because really he doesn't make very many tactical errors and he's so good at choosing between plays. His only weakness is maybe compared to some other players at this level, he might not know. Like I think between these two players, there's no question in my mind that Josh Castellano knows more words in the dictionary than Matthew O'Connor, but Matthew knows a ton of words as well. And is very
Definitely.
good. He's very good at seeing the words he knows. I just think, for example, last game we saw Josh play worried, crazy low probability word. Not as confident
Ridiculous.
Matthew would see that word. Maybe he would. I don't know. But yeah,
I mean,
Matthew is
Matt's definitely been putting in
impressive.
his time studying again. He's been getting back on the grind, and I'm not surprised to see him just absolutely crushing his opponents with this his monstrous spread of plus 1200. I mean, we were talking about Josh's spread of being plus 1300 as a testament of how his games are just these blowouts, and that goes to say for Matt as well.
Well, speaking of blowout, we see Matthew plays blue, which is what he
Boo!
does to
Yeah.
people in the past that he blew out. So there you go. A nice play. Of course, his rack was not very good with all those clunky consonants, but he was able to use arguably, two of his weaker bingo tiles, the W and the B. Of course, he keeps that V for next turn. VRM is not the best sleeve ever, but there was no
No.
way Matthew was going to make a play that kept a good lead for him there. So, um, yeah, on to
Well, I
Josh.
wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Josh was just thinking about how to maximize, just the accessibility on the board for bingo. So perhaps like just grave here to the V and body might accomplish that, just really get that board back open again.
14 Domino says this rack is a bit of an enrager. Yeah,
If
it's
only I was there.
certainly that's a great point. It is annoying, and this rack could enrage you because you see that plausible looking word that somehow is not valid. So, of course,
Yeah.
enrager, you could easily imagine that being a word. It happens not to be in the dictionary here. So, I do like your suggestion of grave here, Nits, quite a bit. Um, that being said, actually, Josh is the player with the lead right now. I'm not sure if I know we had an issue with the score before,
I
but
believe
Josh
he's at
is,
26 points. Oh,
yeah, he's going to be up by more now. Isn't that true after this? So I think I have
yes.
him as having 247. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with that element. We'll try to fix that. That's on me. I'm the one that designed this. So hopefully we'll figure out why it's squirrely. But yeah, so the only reason I hesitate to make a play like Grave is just that Josh is the one with the lead on a very, very constricted board. So
Hmm.
after Grave, he's now opened up a bunch of possible places for Matthew to continue his comeback in the game. The E of Grave, the R, the G, those are all good bingo lanes. But look at what Josh
True.
drew. Look at what
Oh,
Josh.
wow. That's a lovely rack to have.
That is a quite
That
good draw for
blank,
him
yeah,
here.
that is fantastic. Yeah.
Even better too that he's got IN to pair with the G of Grave.
Yeah.
So when he played Grave, he left ERN, I believe, in Rager. So that I draw was huge for him to end plays with ING that reached that upper left triple. So that's going to be huge for Josh. Definitely looking like Matthew doesn't have much he can do to respond to that. And it's going to
Yeah, I
be
wonder what Matt
tough.
is gonna do here.
This is a tricky move for him. I'm sure, man, I don't know what Matthew is thinking necessarily with that grave play. Is he thinking Josh would never make that play unless he had very, very strong tiles left over? I don't know. If
Yeah,
he,
I
if
don't know if Matt. Oh,
Lovat
Okay, so Lovat. That
seems
makes
as good
sense.
as anything. Yeah, it seems as good as
Yeah.
anything here. Getting rid of that
That's a
E.
respectable leave. Yeah.
It's just tough because there really was no way for Matthew to address all of the new openings that Josh has created between the G, R, and E of grave.
Exactly.
So
And yeah,
I
the
would,
thing is gonna come down immediately.
yeah, there's going to be a bingo. I think I'm very much expecting this blank to be designated a Y. I think the point
I
of it,
agree.
you could call it an L as well for learning, and actually even a D for durning, but making it that Y in the upper corner is a much more difficult letter to play 8-letter words off of than the other two. So I fully expect that is a Y at the
Oh,
top.
wow. Matt comes down with a fantastic bingo of his own just
Uh,
immediately. That goes
oh,
to show, he knows his words. This man,
that's
he's doing his
phenomenal.
studying.
That's phenomenal.
Wow.
Instantly, that completely revives Matthew's chances here with one tough draw here for Josh, which you see he has drawn incredibly poorly. If
Yet
Matthew
again with the
draws,
two U's.
the two U's are just coming to taunt this man. Um, Back-to-back games now with these late game 2U draws. But you can see if Matthew draws something that lets him score heavily somewhere, um, this could
He
be
can really
huge.
outpace him. Oh, wow. He picks up the Z.
Wow. And he has drawn
Wow. Oh
exactly
my
that.
gosh.
Look at these tiles for
Oh my
Matthew.
God. He got everything that he needed with that.
Crazy. So
That's
Josh
amazing.
Josh is getting set to play a solid option here of Ali alongside Kermode for 30 points. But even then, that leaves him
Oh,
with IUU, which is I mean,
I really hope he won't do that.
getting 30 points here is good, but I do definitely expect that Matthew is going to put up a pretty big scoring onslaught over the next few turns with
Probably
these
just,
tiles
yeah.
here.
Probably just Oxy down the side of Yearning, maybe. Wouldn't be surprised if that was what came down.
Uh,
Jeez, yeah. I mean, EAU here for Castellano, for Josh. I would prefer that too. In the
yeah.
chat, we see these options. Yeah, I would prefer that too.
Getting rid
Keeping
of
the
one of
two
the two
U's is
U's.
disastrous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
getting rid of one of the two U's and keeping your lone consonant definitely feels correct here. It looks like I'm guessing he's going to go ahead and play this for sure. So fully expect that to be played.
Wow. Yeah, this is going to be quite a turn.
But yeah, for Matthew, he's got that Z and X, and man, I'm sure. Actually, amazingly, it doesn't really much matter to Matthew whether Josh blocks off that R of Kermode because you can't play there unless you have an E. So Matthew
E.
doesn't
Yep.
really. So the E is the only letter that plays parallel to the R there. All right, there we see it. O for 21
Nice.
points. Pushes Josh's lead up quite a bit more, but Matthew is sitting on a monstrous scoring rack here, and
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I wonder where things are going to be at in a few turns. I mean, right now he can just, assuming that blank is a Y, he can just play Oxy in the upper
Oxy.
corner for 50 points and retain his Z to play potentially in the lower corner of the board if he draws the right vowel. So there it comes. We see it here.
Very
Uh,
quickly.
so Oxy for 50 is going to cut that gap huge. And let's just see what Josh will potentially have. At least he drew one scoring tile in the F. So
That's true.
that's his
What do you
one
even
saving
do here?
grace. I don't know. It's going to be
I just-
difficult to score that many points here. But I'm curious to see what Matthew's going to draw too. Is he going to draw some vowels that let him really hammer that Z somewhere? But look at the score. Oh my
Mhm.
God. Crazy.
Wow.
345 to
There's,
342.
I believe there's 8 tiles in the bag after this, after Matt's play. I wonder if I wonder if Josh will just exchange. I don't know if he's going to play through this rack.
Oh man, that's an interesting idea to exchange tiles here, but it's also
I mean, he needs to
so
keep
tough
scoring.
to take. Yeah, exactly. It's so tough to take a score of 0 here because you just feel like that's going to put you, if Matthew has the Z, if Matthew has an S, if Matthew has a hook to O, look in the lower corner with OWE, right? You can see the D
Yeah.
hook, and it even takes an
Oof.
R in Collins. So any play in that spot is going to score very, very well for Matthew. So taking a 0 here just feels disturbing,
Just,
but
yeah.
but maybe you have to. Oh man.
One wonderful fish suggests FE for 22 in the lower right corner. Blocks over.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. So parallel to the I, so just playing FE and if. That's I mean it's 22 points, and maybe that's called for here actually. I think I kind of like that
Oh,
suggestion just because I can't bear to exchange tiles here and score no points.
right.
And at least that play scores 22 points
Yeah.
and
Well,
sets
he
you
could be
up.
hit with Rift, I guess, in response. He doesn't know if, um, or then IFF and ET, perhaps. Rift would
Oh,
be kind of terrible.
the other F is lurking. That's kind of
Yeah.
interesting. Um Yikes. So that could be, I don't know, maybe he is okay with the risk of that. Rift is a very specific play, although I guess Raft is also
Yeah,
uh,
Raft is more likely.
similarly, if not more. Yeah, it looks like it's quite a bit more likely. I think for the record, I think I have the tracking correct now. If we're able to cut to Josh's point of view, um, I'm hoping at least that it is correct, but we'll only one way to find out. Um, ooh, okay, never mind. That's on my end.
Maybe FE
So
is his best option.
I'm
Just,
liking it
get
more and
the
more.
score. Oh,
Ooh, interesting. So he plays something very different. Um, wait a second, is that
is
a
the
word?
IE
I don't
flipped?
think that's a word, but
Oh,
looks like Matthew.
Matt's not putting him on hold.
He's not even considering it. Very interesting. That is a huge. Oh my god! And look at Josh's draw. He drew more vowels
Oh my
somehow.
gosh.
I think just Josh just drew A.
Wow. Wow.
Okay,
That
so
is Jesus.
I I am man. We just gotta figure out what the heck just happened there. So
What do you
Matthew
even do?
Matthew just played Foz. I didn't really even evaluate that. It looks like Matthew was, I mean, he scored 25 points and he blocked the good hooks on O. But did he have, I mean, he had an R there. I guess he had no vowels, which is brutal. He had no way of doing anything with that spot. But meanwhile, Josh has drawn, oh, he had what?
Oh
E,
wow.
U, and he drew I. Is that so? Yeah, he drew the three A's and an I, and
Oh my
now
gosh.
there's too few tiles in the bag. So if we, I think again, I believe I have it. Let me know, producer Josh, if my tracking is messed up. He might be doing other stuff too.
One
Um,
wonderful fish says these guys need to exchange tiles with each other. I agree. I completely agree.
Okay, there we go. It is correct. So this is the tiles. This tile situation is accurate. This is what Josh is somehow looking at. So a tale
Wow.
of two sets of tiles here, as Josh with all seven vowels here, and Matthew with
Jesus.
only one vowel he can possibly have, right? It's possible that O is
Oh
still
my
in the
god.
bag. I would assume that if I'm Josh, I'm feeling a little concerned here that in a fight between vowels and consonants, I will take consonants every time. um, so Yikes. This is going to be
This
brutal.
is, I mean, yeah, this game could go either way, really, right now. They're
Um,
so close, just 1 point apart.
yeah. So, yeah, this has been a pretty wild ending of the game. That play of
Wow.
Leif, that certainly caught my eye to play. I just obviously I anytime Josh plays a word, I'm gonna assume it's probably good. So, but certainly I got a little eyebrow raise there, and I got big eyebrows, so that means a lot when I say that. But
I wonder if
but
Josh is not going to try and find, Z hotspots and just try to block those um,
yeah, I think
to
if I'm
prevent.
Josh, I'm gonna try to play in that lower left corner, right? That's where the Z plays with
Yeah.
ZO for a score that's
ZO,
really
which is the only vowel that's unseen to him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so. I I mean that doesn't feel great. There's two tiles in the bag, so playing two tiles down there with something like AA is, and that is what he
Ooh,
does, right? I think this makes sense. You have to buy yourself time.
yeah.
Maybe you draw the Z out of the bag. I guess if that's true, then your odds of using the Z productively are a little bit higher with all the vowels you
Right.
have.
Why not just play above though? Like, why not just make AB and AL because you have the case A?
Oh, great. That's an awesome suggestion. It's that so that
Thank you, thank you.
that is really good. So playing on top scores roughly as well, and if you do draw the Z, you still get that spot down there. Love that suggestion. So
Thank you, thank
yeah,
you.
it actually scores 2 more points than the play that Josh made. So you get more points and you set yourself up to hammer the Z if you draw it. But that being said, it still definitely feels like the right instinct here from Josh to block that easy Z bomb spot, which he has done.
Definitely.
So now
Are
we
there
are into
other?
the end game.
Yeah. Wow, yes. Whew, both players with perfect information, 7 tiles on each of their racks. Bags empty,
Yeah.
I believe.
No need to cut to the tracking screen anymore. The tiles you see on each player's rack, that's it. Those are the only unplayed tiles in the game.
What a
So
crazy game. What a crazy game.
this This is a extremely difficult situation for both players, but actually that draw of DH out of the bag for Josh is huge because that H is a really nice flexible endgame tile, specifically because he'll be able to play something with CH if he needs it here. With
Beautiful.
alongside Cat, right? So a play in that spot, whatever he chooses to play there, and he can hold off on playing there if he wants to. He can play, other stuff with the possibility of following up with a CH play, and that's going to be a solid number of points for him in this end game. So,
Yeah.
wow, crazy.
Wow. And the funny thing is that Noah Callis on Quackle for us, he says the championship player, which goes through the final end game and solves it, sees no wins for Matt.
Wow. So with that being the case, I would definitely, if I'm in Matthew's shoes here, I'm definitely thinking to myself,
Oh,
if
Noah
I
Slapcop. Sorry, not Callis. That is my mistake. I'm so sorry.
no worries. Yeah, Noah Kalis is actually here competing too, and I did a rousing rendition of an Eminem song at karaoke last night.
See, I just keep
Um,
missing all the good stuff.
that was very impressive, to say the
And
least.
I'm
But
missing Matt O'Connor's trivia tonight. I mean, can you believe it? Can you believe it, you guys?
yeah, the trivia master himself. But the biggest bit of trivia he wants to come up with now is how can he steal this game away from Josh? That was a pretty bad segue. Sorry about that, everybody.
That's okay.
So
Well, he has more than enough time on his clock, which is a very Matt thing to have. And he's just gonna think through literally everything. He's gonna evaluate the board. He's gonna find the spots.
I mean, the main thing I worry about is, of course, he just has the one vowel, so he's going to struggle to play out in 2 turns with these very clunky consonant overload. So I basically had said earlier I would always take consonants in a battle between consonants and vowels, but now that's no longer the case, right? With Josh having HD on his rack, he actually has the mixture of consonants and vowels required to probably win this game.
True.
So yeah, I'm expecting Matthew to try his best to come up with a plan to maybe steal the game, even if the computer engine does not think he should theoretically be able to do that. How
That would
can
be a
he
very Matt O'Connor thing to do.
how can yeah, he's thinking, how can I induce an issue here? How can I Okay, so he plays Mort here.
Okay.
That is a
Response here.
play. Oh, wait, he picks up
Oh,
the M. The reason that picking up the M is really important here is if he goes ahead and plays Mort, that creates an A hook to the triple of Amort, which will allow Josh to play a Jew or
I
something.
do.
So he can't really
Oh,
go ahead and play Mort there. All right, he switched over to Org.
org. There we go.
That scores 20 points. That's pretty good. But the Z is going to be really difficult for him to use without a vowel. He's used his lone vowel to make this play.
Ooh,
Uh,
well, I mean,
so
I guess he has the E engraved to do ZE if he's really stuck. So, oh, what Josh
it's
needs
true.
to do is Z stick him.
Yeah. So I worry a little bit now that Matthew has exposed himself to a stick situation, but maybe he's hoping He could be hoping that Josh doesn't assess that properly with 2 minutes and counting
Minutes.
down, right? He's getting into that time pressure scenario, and this is absolutely a really difficult endgame. I think it would
Definitely.
be very simple if Josh even thinks for a moment that the Z stick is possible. He can just plop something down there and win the game with ease, right? He can win with
Yeah, I
ease if he just plops something there, but he can win even if
completely
he
agree.
doesn't do that too. He should just realize that even if Matthew is forced to play ZE there, he is not scoring that many points to do that. And yeah, we'll see. It looks like he's getting ready to play Hue, Hue. I'm wondering where that's going.
Hmm.
So, so even, I mean, just even something like if Josh were to play
Oh, I see.
something.
Okay.
Okay, there you
Okay.
go. That looks pretty good. And that's nice because he sets himself up with the out of idea alongside the K of Kermodes, right? That's going to be really difficult to block. So if Matthew plays his Z for a small score, Josh is going to go out and end the game. That looks perfectly solid to me. Nice play.
Yeah, I don't think Matt
Wow.
has any wins here. Just, yeah, needs to get rid of the Z.
Crazy, crazy game.
What a game. Wow. What a game.
So I
Just
think with that
ridiculous.
clock ticking, Josh is not going to worry about maximizing every last point of spread in the game. He's just going to end this thing and come out on top in an extremely hard fought battle here between
Wow.
these. So
Wow. That game was
uh,
just as explosive as we thought it was going to be.
I mean, what can you say? That was
What an end game.
really action packed. So, definitely the players are probably going to discover LEIF at some point. I don't know whether they've noticed that yet. I'm going to just watch their body language and see if we can tell from that. I'm going to see if we can tell from that if they have discovered that a phony 4-letter word has stayed on the board. I don't feel like we've seen it yet. I don't think they've noticed yet. They're probably just doing their post game paperwork here. Um, but I was.
There was a spelling bee tournament at the we both stuck 0-0. Amazing. That's the funny thing about these two. You know, like they'll look at their games and they'll say, "We suck. Oh my gosh, we're not good at Scrabble. No one is good at Scrabble. We just need to stop playing." They're just so hard on themselves, both of them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Obviously, not both of these players are incredibly good at Scrabble. This is a very classic thing. You see this at the upper echelons of any game where players make mistakes and use that type of language. I suck. I don't know how to play. I'm playing like a donkey. All these things when actually they're still playing better than 99.9999% of people who have ever played this game. It really is mostly a question of the standards you hold yourself to are very different depending on your attitude and your how you approach the game. So I would push back more than a little bit on the idea that these guys suck just because one word was played or two words were played that aren't in the dictionary. I thought it was a really, really epic, well played game.